Hi, Skylab. It was the USA's first space station that was launched by NASA that orbited around the Earth from 1973 to 1979. It had a total of 4 missions. The first one was unmanned, the other 3 were manned. And the first one that was unmanned, it was only unmanned because it was its launch from the Kennedy Space Center. It was launched on May 14, 1973. The mass of Skylab was about 170,000 pounds, and its length, width, and height were as follows. Maybe it's not so hard for some people, but for me it's hard to know or estimate in my head exactly these measurements about how big it was. So in relation to a football field, Skylab was about, well, that's not even halfway through. The Skylab was about half, or like about a fourth of a football field. This is about how big Skylab was. Now let's talk about its missions. Now, for its first mission, it launched the day it was launched. That was basically its launch date, May 14th, 1973. Now, for the first unmanned mission, which was its launch, it obviously wasn't recovered until it crash landed into Earth. So there's just nothing for that space right there. Now, when Skylab launched, they had problems on takeoff. One of those problems was that the meteorite shield ripped off and it took one of the 2 solar panels with it. The meteorite shield is basically just the shade for Skylab's workshop, so just to not make it, so it's not too bright in there. Not only did the shield did that, but it wrapped around the other solar panel, not allowing it to deploy correctly. Back at home base, they luckily were able to maneuver Skylab manually, or not manually, but just from Earth, so that the ATM's solar panels would face the sun so that it would get some electricity. The ATM is the Apollo telescope mount, which was located. The ATM was located right here, and yeah, right there. And they were able to maneuver it so its solar panels would face the sun to get some electricity. The ATM was a solar observatory that would make observations in different wavelengths, from extreme ultraviolet to infrared. Because of the lost shield, the inside temperature rose to 126 degrees Fahrenheit, and whoops, didn't drop it. And the first manned mission was set to fix that. Basically just to fix all of the problems that it had on takeoff. The first manned mission didn't take place until May 25th, 1973. The crew that went to Skylab for the first manned mission was then recovered on the 22nd of June, 1973. Like I said earlier, each manned mission had 3 people: a pilot, a scientist, and the commander. The commander for the first manned mission was that guy. Since I can't really draw people that well, just here's a picture of him and just what he looked like. Now the pilot was, and again, just a picture reference here so you can know what he looked like. Last but not least, the scientist was Joseph Kerwin. Like I said, this mission was set to fix the things that didn't go well on its launch. So the first thing they did was make repairs on the spacecraft right away, which included repairing the shield and the solar panels. To fix the problem with the solar panels, they had to do a spacewalk to free it. So that's why in some pictures you'll see Skylab not having 2 solar panels on its side. They also deployed a parasol sunshade to cool the inside temperature to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And by June 4th, all was operating. Not only did they do that, but they also conducted solar astronomy, earth resources, and medical experiments while on board. And They also doubled the space-time or length time in space. Now for the second main mission, it launched on July 28, 1973, and it was recovered on September 25th, 1973. The commander was Alan L. Bean. The pilot was Jack R. Loosma, and the scientist was Owen K. Garriott. You can see the name. I might be blocking it. Missing an R. That's a terrible R. Things that this mission was able to accomplish was deploy a second sun shield to make sure the temperature didn't rise again like it did during the launch. They also did science and medical experiments and brought live spiders to see what kind of webs they would make in weightlessness. They also doubled the first mission's length time in space. I almost mixed the two words again. Now for its fourth and final mission, it launched on November 16th, 1973, and it was recovered on February 8th, 1973. Yes, they went back in time and were able to recover it. Sorry, 1974. The commander was Gerald P. Carr, and the pilot was William R. Pogue, or however you say that last name, not clearly or not super sure how you pronounce it. The scientist was Edward B. Gibson. Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. It was Edward G. Gibson. Doing that gives you more, I guess, space to do more stuff. So that was the launch, the recovered, and the crew. Something that this crew was able to accomplish was that on Christmas Day, via a spacewalk, they were able to see and take pictures of the Kohoutek comet that flew by. Something like that. Including this one, they were able to do a total of 4 spacewalks, did thousands of experiments, and it also used treadmills and stationary bikes in order to stay fit. They were needed, or they were supposed to do that for this specific mission because they, as you saw from the launch and recovered date, they were there for a long time, and they ended up doubling the length time in space from the previous Skylab mission by 50%. Sadly, 5 years after its last mission, on July 11th, 1979, its orbit deteriorated and it crash landed into Earth. Again, not to scale, but sort of just gives you a decent image on picturing it. And that is all for Skylab. That is its birth and its death from 1973 to 1979. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna take my whiteboard and go home. This is a lot heavier than it looks like. See ya.